This is the Sabbath School lesson for the fourth quarter, 2020.
Lesson 8 for November 14 to 20, Education and Redemption, read by Dr. Percy Harrold. Wednesday, November 18, Wise Men and Women. The words for school, study and education are clearly understood in our time, but they are not common in the Bible. There is one word, wisdom or wise, which is much more common. For example, the Old Testament makes mention of wise men and women. Let's look at a couple of these. 2 Samuel 14 verse 2, And Joab sent to Tekoa, and brought from there a wise woman, and said to her, Please pretend to be a mourner, and put on mourning apparel. Do not anoint yourself with oil, but act like a woman who has been mourning a long time for the dead. Proverbs 16:23. The heart of the wise teaches his mouth, and adds learning to his lips. Question. Read 1 Kings 4:29-34. What does this teach us about the importance of wisdom? 1 Kings chapter 4, and beginning at verse 29, And God gave Solomon wisdom and exceeding great understanding and largeness of heart, like the sand on the seashore. Thus Solomon's wisdom exceeded the wisdom of all the men of the east, and all the wisdom of Egypt. For he was wiser than all men, than Ethan the Ezrahite, and Heman, Chalcol, and Dada, the sons of Mahol. And his fame was in all the surrounding nations. He spoke 3,000 proverbs, and his songs were 1,005. Also he spoke of trees, from the cedar tree of Lebanon even to the hyssop that springs out of the wall. He spoke also of animals, of birds, of creeping things, and of fish. And men of all nations from all the kings of the earth, who had heard of his wisdom, came to hear the wisdom of Solomon. King Solomon is singled out as a very wise man who spoke about animal and plant life and uttered proverbs with great wisdom, meaning as a man of education, as we've just read in 1 Kings chapter 4. The books of Proverbs and Ecclesiastes contain many wise teachings on numerous subjects attributed to Solomon, as well as to other wise teachers in ancient times. Let's look at some of these. Proverbs chapter 1 verse 1, the Proverbs of Solomon the son of David, king of Israel, and chapter 25 of Proverbs verse 1, these also are Proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah king of Judah copied. And Proverbs chapter 30 verse 1, the words of Agur, the son of Jesher, his utterance. This man declared to Ithiel and Ucal. And chapter 31 and verse 1, the words of King Lemuel, the utterance which his mother taught him. According to the Bible, wisdom is very much like our education today. It is something one learns from parents and teachers, especially while young, as we read in Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 1. Remember now your Creator in the days of your youth, before the difficult days come, and the years draw near, when you say, I have no pleasure in them. But actually, a person accumulates wisdom all through life. Second, wisdom generally has a practical side to it. For example, learn from the ants that save in the summer in order to have enough for the winter. Proverbs chapter 6, verses 6-8. Go to the ant, you sluggard, consider her ways and be wise, which, having no captain, overseer, or ruler, provides her supplies in the summer and gathers her food in the harvest. Yet wisdom is not only practical, but it also has a theoretical side to it, for it begins with faith in God and follows certain foundational principles, as we read in Proverbs 1 verse 7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. Wisdom helps us live responsibly and for the benefit of others, and it also helps protect us from misfortune. Finally, just like education today, wisdom does not answer all the questions we may pose, but it enables us to be content with what we know while continuing to search for what is still unknown, and that is a good position from which we can learn to know God and to trust in his grace. According to Jeremiah 18:18, the role of the wise teacher is considered on par with the roles of priest and prophet. Let's look at that, Jeremiah 18 and verse 18. Then he said, Come and let us devise plans against Jeremiah, for the law shall not perish from the priest, nor counsel from the wise, nor the word from the prophet. Come and let us attack him with the tongue, and let us not give heed to any of his words. All three convey messages from God to his people in the form of instruction in the law, educational counsel, and special messages from God. So to finish the day, how can we learn wisdom and then pass it on to those who come after us? Why is this so important for us as a people to do?